Hey guys, it's Kelly. Welcome back to my channel. Happy New Year! I hope your New Year is off to a great start. Today I'm going to be sharing with you the 12 books that I read in the month of December. 2019 was a great reading year for me. Out of the 100 books I challenged myself to read, I read 120. So, yay. And so the first book I'm going to be talking about today is Girls Like Us by Randy Pink. This is set in 1970s. It mentions the Vietnam War, Richard Nixon, and the title gives away the concept of the story, Girls Like Us. It's about teen pregnancy, and we're following 4 girls, Izzy, Sue, Mississippi, and forget Izzy's sister. But she was, 3 of those 4 girls were pregnant. Get sent away to this place in Chicago. And it's all connecting how they have to go through the leers, the jeers, the judgment. And I really enjoyed it. It's one of my most favorite reads of 2019. If you want to know more about my thoughts, because I cannot speak right now, I will link my blog post review down below. Also, my favorites video, where I go into detail about this book. But I absolutely loved it. And I will be reading more of Randy Pink's stuff. I'm not going to go into much detail about some of these, because I've already rambled a lot about these books. The second book that I read in December was Let It Snow by John Green, Maureen Johnson, and Lauren Miracle. This was the first book I read for the 'Tis the Season-a-thon, and it's 3 short stories. Y'all know all about this. It's also a Netflix adaptation, which I hated because it didn't stay true to the book. Yeah, I was a little ticked off. But my favorite story was the first one, the Jubilee Express, and I will forever ship Jubilee, Julie, and Stuart. The Netflix Julie and Stuart was just not my cup of tea. I hated that storyline. And my least favorite was John Green's story, the cheertastic about the cheerleaders and you need to bring the twister. I fucking hated that one. Oh my god. But yeah, I ranked each story. I gave the Jubilee Express a 5 out of 5. I gave the John Green a 2 out of 5. And then I gave The Patron Saint of Pigs by Lauren Miracle a 3 out of 5. Because little Gabriel, the teacup pig. I want a teacup pig. But yeah, I will link my review and my blog down below. And, yep, I'm bitter about the Netflix adaptation. The third book that I read was the second one that I read for 'Tis the Season-a-thon, and it is my absolute favorite. It's my honorable mention in my favorites video. If you have not watched that video, check it out, please. And that is 10 Blind Dates by Ashley Elson. I absolutely loved this book. Yeah. It's about this girl. She gets dumped before Christmas, and she has a big Italian family, and so her family is going to set her up on 10 blind dates. Each is more whimsy and ludicrous and just plain weird. My favorite had to be the December 21st date, and it's not just because it's my birthday, but it's the one where she has to play Mary in a living nativity, and it's got a goat and a screaming baby. And I also connected with this book because her sister she goes into premature labor, and the baby is stuck in the NICU, and she has all these cords. And while I'm like a little suspicious that Ashley Elston somehow looked at my child's picture when she was in the NICU, because the way she described how this baby looked with all the cords coming out of her and all the wires looks exactly like a picture my husband took of my youngest right after she was born, with having to give her breath. So, this is just one of my favorites. I will be rereading this every Christmas until the day I die. The next book I read for the 'Tis the Season-a-thon is The Afterlife of Holly Chase by Cynthia Hand. I had heard so many people rave about... Damn hair. I've heard so many people rave about this book, and I finally read it. At first, I was like, it's okay. It's not as great as everyone was saying. But the end, though, it was so perfect, and I don't want to reread it because it was freaking long as hell. But how she just became her stepmother and just hated everyone and was the typical Hollywood teenager. Like, she was above everybody and everybody's beneath her. And like, we're not even worthy of a thought. We're gum on the bottom of her shoe. That's what basically how she treats everyone. And so I love the job. I'm not a Scrooge, but I would like to work at Project Scrooge. And she just takes her job farther, and I didn't like the names. I did read A Christmas Carol a couple years ago, and I didn't like it because it was old-timey. It was Charles Dickens. Dude, I couldn't stand the dialogue of it, but I liked the movie, the Jim Carrey version. But yeah. I may reread it one year for Christmas, but I'm not going to reread it like back to back like some people do, because I give it a 5, but yeah, it's just too long for a reread for me. This next one was going to be my 4th book that I was going to read for the 'Tis the Season-a-thon, and I didn't finish the Afterlife of Holly Chase in the days that I wanted to. But I read this right after because I'm not a quitter. And it is The Hard Way by Julie Luongo. I bought this book, or Casey bought this book for me back in 2009. And I read it 10 years later. It's about this girl named Lucy. She doesn't know what she wants to do in life. She's trying to find herself. She's trying to grow herself as a person. And it's about her relationships with these guys and career changes. She wants to be a criminal investigator. She wants to be a lawyer. She wants to do art. And then she gets in an accident and she bonds with her sister, who is like 20 years older than her. It was okay. It was irritating at times. And reading about someone's bowel movements, like one of her boyfriends, he talks about it all the time and he could not help himself. Like, she asked him to go a day, and then he went 3 hours before it just blurted out. Like, I gotta tell you this. Yeah. All of my reviews for these books are in my blog, so go check those out. Go check those out if you want to know more about these, because I'm not talking much about them. I want to try to keep my wrap up short and sweet. So if you want to know more, go to my blog, please. Next one is Why Not Me by Mindy Kaling. This is her 2nd book. I remember mentioning that I don't know if you need to read the first one in order to read this one. And she mentioned her first book in this one quite a bit. So I didn't know what she was referring to in this one. So my recommendation is to pick up her first one before you read this one. And the first one is Everyone Hanging Out Without Me. And so it goes into her life and her friendship with BJ Novak, and how she glamorizes, and how she got her show, wanted her show to be on the network with The Office, and then the people, the higher ups, just went right past it, and so she pitched it to other networks, ABC, Fox, and then Fox canceled it, and then Hulu picked it up. So it talks about that, and it has pictures. It talks about her mom. It's dedicated to her mom, because I think her mom died while she, after this was written, or before this was written, I think. The 7th book I read in the month of December. I read it with my kids, and it was one of their TBR picks in our homeschool for October, November, and December. And our January, February, and March one is coming soon, so stay tuned. Hit subscribe. And we read The Strangers by Margaret Peterson Haddix. This came in Sammy's April Alcrate Jr. It's about parallel worlds. It's about these 3 kids. Their mom vanishes. She disappears. She leaves them behind. And they are adamant about trying to get her back. But before their mom vanishes, she's freaked out because 3 other kids who have the same name as these ones have gone missing in Arizona. And the mom freaks out. And so she leaves and puts her kids in the care of a woman with an older teenage daughter. And so the teenage daughter is trying to help them figure out what happened to the mom. Why'd she split? And they find out all these ways that their mom has planned that she was not coming back. And so they find the secret. I was just sick of the repetitiveness. I was tired of reading that part out loud. And yeah, the sequel, The Deceptors, out in April, I think, and I think it's bigger than this, but I'm intrigued enough to continue reading in the series. But if it's repetitive of the same stuff and the same mannerisms, then I will not be continuing past the 2nd book if it goes forward in the series. At the beginning of 2019, I did a video of my most anticipated reads of 2019, and the first book that I had on there was Dealing in Dreams by Lilium Rivera. The reason this book was on there is because I saw a review copy being offered through LitPick, a service or a review service that Sammy used to do, and we don't do it anymore because I'm not forking out $15 to be harassed every 3 weeks for a review. Yeah, so I saw this and I was intrigued. It's about this girl. Her name is Nala, but her street name Chief Raka. And she's the head of this girl gang. Can only be 5 girls in a girl gang. And it's a dystopian or a utopian. It's a dystopian. It takes place in the city called Mega City. Only women are in power. And the men are just like dogs. Think of The Handmaid's Tale, but not. The women are in charge and the men are prostitutes, exotic dancers, escorts, laborers. So there's not street fights, but throwdowns for each gang to see who could become the top gang and live in the towers, which is the ultimate place to live next to the ruler. I forget her name. Daisy or DC. I forget how to spell or pronounce Spanish names. Daisy saved Chief Raka from abandonment. Her mother was hooked on these Sueños tabs. Sueños tabs are dream tabs. The manufactured drug that the gangs distribute to the citizens to keep them complacent and controlled. This might be a standalone, but there's so much more to this world and in these characters that there could be a sequel. But if this is a standalone, then it has the best ending, because then you can make up your own conclusions and like, how do you want the LMCs to continue on? Do you want Mega City to stay as it is? Do you want Mega City to fight? I don't know. But yes, if there's a sequel, I will not be mad about it. But it's a good standalone. A book that I've had on many a TBR this year, as my daughter has so kindly pointed out, that she picked this out for me to read because I had like 20 or 19 backlist book titles, and I had her choose 2 a month for me to read, and that did not last long. And I think this was what, the first one that she picked out. And it is Salt to the Sea by VeryDice. And nope. I can't handle it. I thought I would like finish this and then like research what the actual events and what was fake and what was true, and I just can't do it. I can't. It's got 4 perspectives. It's from a Lithuanian girl, a Polish girl, a he's not German. A German Nazi, and I don't know, Florian. I forget his nationality. But yeah, it's from 4 perspectives, and of course the perspective from the Nazi was going to irritate me to no freaking end. He would write these fictional letters to his sweetheart back home, and then it gets to the bottom of why he's actually writing these fake letters. And dude, he was psycho, sociopath, psychotic. And Amelia, my heart just broke for her. And then I thought the throwing of the babies and them hitting the side of the ship and falling into the ocean, the freezing ocean, was just something that somebody made up to get it right, to hype this up. And oh my god, at that part I was bawling my eyes out. My husband was looking at me all concerned, and he almost tried to take the book away from me and said, no, you're not reading it anymore. But and then that's not the first time I cried about the babies. The Ingrid, and the shoe poet. Oh my god, I wish I had a shoe poet as a grandpa. Oh, it just makes me want to read VeryDice's other books even more, and I will not be putting off. The next time my kid pulls a book out and it's a VeryDice's book, I'm going to read it right then and there, because this is a good one. I think I gave it a 5 out of 5. I'm not sure. I'll put my star ratings down below. I think I gave this a 5 out of 5. But it's not a favorite because, good God, man. Another anticipated read was the sequel to The Crescent Stone by Matt Michelatos, and it's the Heartwood Crown by Matt Michelatos. It's the second in the Sunlit Lands series. And I don't remember if the text was this freaking tiny, but it was a struggle to read. I enjoyed it, but how a book is formatted and then the text size, it bothers me a lot. And it affects the way I read a book. If it's like normal size and spaced evenly, I will fly through it. But when it's like this and like super freaking tiny, then I read this way longer than I wanted to. I read it in 5-6 days, and I wanted to finish it in 3. It's about this girl named Madeline. She has a breathing disease. She can't catch her breath. She's dying. And her mom and her dad keep her home from school because she just can't catch her breath. And so one day she decides, I want to go to school. I want to get out of the house. So she goes to her first class, which is chemistry. I related so hard to that one because my 11th grade year, I had chemistry right at the beginning of the day, and it ruined every day that first semester. But anyways, her chemistry partner is this guy named Jason Woosong. And he's just your average humorous guy. He tried to make a funny situation, try to make her laugh. And the first thing he says to her when she sits down beside him, "You look like death." She goes, gee, thanks. And then she starts, and she collapses on the floor. Jason springs in action and drives her straight to the hospital. While she is being looked at by the doctors and getting a chest tube down to help her breathe, this magical guy named Hanley shows up and offers her a 1 year of breathing offers her to breathe freely for 1 year service to defeat the Skim. I just got done reading this book a week ago and I already can forget. The Skim, which is this group of people who look like monsters that are trying to steal the elemental magic. She starts having more trouble breathing, and she agrees. And she brings Jason along with her as her servant, who will help her. He's not exactly contracted to the elemental, he's contracted to Madeline. And the only thing he asks for is a chocolate pudding cup a day. The story picks off right where it left off. And it was action-packed. And the end. Darius is a freaking scumbag. He chose honor over being with Madeline, and Jason, how he acted about the thing with Madeline, it just broke my heart. So, the third book, there's supposedly a third book, but I've checked the website, and it has, the third book is The Story King, and I have an idea that it's going to be all about Jason, because he gives his stories freely, and that's a big no-no. And it has chapter 1, and I went on the website, and there's nothing on there. The book is not on Matt Michelado's page. It's not on Goodreads, so is it a dead zone? Is it gone? Is it just a dud? I don't know. I hope not. Next one I read, I have a physical copy, but it's up there on my top shelf, and I don't feel like standing up to get it. So I read The Kill Artist by Daniel Silva. This is book 1 in the Gabriel Allen series. Right when I got back into reading, I read books 6 and 8 out of order because I found them at Fred's, and I love them. It's like an Israeli James Bond, and I absolutely love James Bond. I love the spy and the action and all that. And so this book freaking gripped me. And so it's about this guy named Gabriel Allen. He's an art restorer. But before he was an art restorer, he was a operative in the Israeli Secret Service, which is the most badass secret organization in the world. Everybody fears them. And so he gets pulled back in to help find this guy who essentially murdered his family and is murdering more Jews. And he's Palestinian. It goes so much into the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, and yeah, it has enough of today's events mixed in. So I really enjoyed it. It answered so many questions that I had. Obviously, because I read books out of order. But I'm reading them in order now. And the questions that I had were answered. And so I'm ready to read the second one, which is the English Assassin. And I think he goes to Austria in that one. I'm not sure. I'm not even going to guess. There's 18 books in this series so far. Usually Daniel Silva comes out with one every year, but there's not one announced for this year. So I am hoping that the series isn't over. And it makes me think that his first couple of books before he started the Gabriel Allen series is like a prequel to this series, because it mentions the Nazis and Jews, and I think one of his first books was called The Unlikely Spy, and it's about a Nazi because it has the swastika on the cover. I'm not putting that cover here. But yeah, I'm going to have to research that more. And if so, then I will read his first couple of books before continuing with the Gabriel Allen series. Because even though my questions were answered, it left me with newer questions. So, and Daniel Silva, just reading 2 books out of order, he's one of my new favorite authors. And so I'm glad that I'm finally reading the series in order. The final book that I read in December was The Boy from Tomorrow by Camille DeAngelis. It's a time travel paranormal middle grade, and I loved it. It takes place in the span of 100 years. These 2 little girls live in 1915, and this boy lives in 2015. They live in the same house. And so, one day, this boy and his mom is getting divorced, and they move into this house. And she's cleaning one day, and she finds the picture of a girl, of one of the tenants that used to live in this house, a girl named Josie. And so, he's, like, entranced with her picture. And then they find a talking board, a Ouija board, which I thought I was not going to like this book because it had that element. I'm deathly afraid of Ouija boards. I believe in them 100%, and they are bad news. If I ever come across one, I'm just going to be blessing myself, holy water, sage, what have you, and take off in the other direction. But this boy uses it, and they contact these 2 sisters, along with their tutor, Emily. And the girls think he's a spirit that's in the past. And obviously the boy is talking to them. And they find out that they're actually talking. It's just in different parallel time universes. Different timelines. And Cassie has this doll named Mrs. Gubbins that but speaks to Cassie and tells her strange things that are going to happen. And the girl's mom is this spirit. What kind of like a psychic medium, but a semi-fraudulent psychic medium. Let's just say that. She finds out that her daughters are talking to Alec, and she takes over. She's abusive. This is an arc. This book came out last year, or this book came out in 2018. Getting the mindset 2020. But yeah, I found this in a little free library in my hometown. So that means that someone else in my hometown gets arcs. I'm going to find you, and I want to be your friend. Because I have arcs to trade. So, but yeah, it was left in a little free library in my hometown. And I'm not getting rid of it. I'm not taking it back. I will replace this one with more books off of my shelf. Because arcs are like a gold mine to me. I love arcs. So if you have arcs that you don't want anymore, send them to me. I will gladly take them. My email is in my About Me section. Go to that. But yeah, read this. It's so good. And she is the author of Alex Award winner Bones and All. So I will definitely be picking that book up and reading. And the day I'm filming this video is January 1st, and I was reading this book at the end of December, and I finished it today, which is going to mess up my stats so much. Sorry for the bag moving. But the book is Circle of Shadows by Evelyn Skye. It is book, does it have a series name? I don't know. But this is the first book in a series. The second book, Cloak and Night, comes out, I think, in February? I don't know. But I'm excited to read it. But yeah, I finished this book today. This is going to be in my January wrap-up, but I'm going to be mentioning it here. I'll talk more about it. But basically what this is, it's a Asian-inspired magical fantasy. This was good. I give it a 4 out of 5 stars. I will talk more about this in my January wrap-up. And it's a society of assassins, an empire of magic, and a world of secrets. Yes. And the second one is called A Cloak of Night. And the cover is beautiful. So, I'm going to be buying this off of the Fairy Trade because it has the color of the Rose Palace, the lavender on the spine or the pages, and I need it in my life. It has this color on the pages. So, I'm hoping that they do like an exclusive edition 42nd one and have like burgundy on the pages. Oh, I'm just dreaming right now. That's it for my December 2019 wrap up. I hope you enjoyed. 2019 was a great reading year. Yeah, in December. I didn't think I was going to read that much. I was not planning on reading this much, but I read 3 books in the first week of December with a cold. And I was just like, I want to keep up this momentum. And I'm so glad I did. But if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button and comment down below what was your favorite book in 2019. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.